Today I'm going to show you how to build some of the trickier aspects of the beam engine. Just to show you on page 5, remember the larger hole goes to the top when you're gluing this in place. This is to allow for some sideways movement of this. So just remember, large hole at the top. Right, we're on page 9 and you've got as far as doing the drop links and you've pushed these two pegs through without any glue. Just want to show you a technique because it's important you don't get glue in places you shouldn't when you're doing this part, else the whole thing will seize up. So when you do the horizontal links, you just put glue around the hole of one end. Use your finger to wipe it off, and it's at this end you put it. Slide that through without any glue, and then on this little peg at this end push in, and the glue won't go into the joint, it will just remain in the hole. And do the same on the other side. So when that's dried, this whole linkage system should be able to move like that. Then you've got two more links to put on, and again I put a blob of glue into the hole, messy, wipe off the excess, and then just glue and leave to dangle, and do the same on the other side and wait for those two to dry. Now we're on to page 11. Now when the glue is dried on these two last drop links you did, you should just be able to go like that and move, because they're glued on the outside of the peg but everything in between is not glued, so they should move like that. Now put a glue on this connecting arm just all around there, and just very carefully you have to kind of feed that peg through there, lift these two up to these two holes, and you have to kind of push it through quite firm. Keep an eye on this end as well, that you've still got that in there. That's that, and then you put a little spacer on the end, and again that's what should happen, and repeat on the other side. Now on page 12 I just want to show you how I build the wheel, because I do it slightly differently to the way they show in the instructions. I glue all 6 of these in at the same time. I glue the two 10mm in the two tops like that, and then the other two 10mm in 2 of the sides, leaving 2 without. And then I put glue on there, push together, and do all this while it's still wet because it makes it easier to manipulate everything. Glue these two like that, then do that, and while that's still wet, because you need to force the joint open, line them up with those two holes and push in. And I repeat on the other side. Glue on the end, push them into the two holes, do this, then there and there, and this is where it gets a bit fun, on the end, and try and line these up, because everything's wet, everything will kind of creep about. Don't worry about the cracks showing at the moment. And again, there, there, there. Oh. Right, now while everything's wet, you can force away these various cracks and smear the glue into the cracks as well, because they will help fill. Again, you've just got to keep forcing it and moving it until you're happy you've got the cracks gone, and then sometimes it's a good idea to put a heavy book on it then to weight it down. When everything's dried, I then use sandpaper just to try and make this circle better, because as you can see you get a little bit of a bump there, so just use sandpaper to round everything off and to round the flat surface off on both sides as well. So we're on page 14, and I just want to show you something that I do slightly differently. It shows in the instructions just hanging this over that camera you've just glued. I actually move on to the next page and I glue the whole bar to it and the little peg, and then I feed it through and hang it on. It just saves doing that later. And then when you glue this on, again smear it all around and glue it in the opposite direction to the large area, going upwards from that, and glue. And just make sure you don't get any glue on this bit, and then leave to dry. So just to show you on page 15, this is now dried. It's best to thread that on first, tip that, put some glue on the end of that, and then just push that in, and while the glue's still wet, just turn that, and if it looks like you're getting a hitting point, a binding point, either pull this out slightly or sand a bit off the end, but it should work like that first time. So we're on page 16, and I'm just going to show you something that I do slightly differently. I find it easier, is you build these two assemblies and then I actually glue them in position now, rather than the way it shows you in the instructions. So just a bit of glue on the bottom and push them in, lift that up like so, leave to dry. Now again, me continuing to do it slightly differently, I take this part with the two holes, small holes there, put some glue on the end of this and push into the twist round and leave that to dry. And then this assembly, I use the long peg here, I glue two spaces on the end after having threaded all these things on, and then I push these to the outside and glue there just to hold those two spaces, and the drop links in place. Just push that there and leave to dry. So when this is dried, drop that into there, feed that through there, push these two spaces on without glue at the moment, feed along. Now put those two pegs that are sticking out there, if you can see, through there. Take that through there, and then use this final link, put a little bit of glue on the inside of the hole, wipe off any excess, thread the small hole without glue on there, and then just push that 5mm diameter shaft there, and then part these two spaces and push them to the ends, and put a bit of glue here and here, and this one which you haven't glued, push it to one side, sorry, push there, and then that should move up and down as you turn the handle. Leave that straight on the top of it, and then you just put these spaces you're provided as shown on these, and that's it.